cultured meat.
Lab-grown chicken.
A lab-grown chicken nugget.
Chicken grown in a lab.
U.S. regulators have approved the sale of chicken made from animal cells.
Lab-grown meat, sometimes referred to as cultured meat or cell-based meat,
Ridiculous.
is being advertised as a potential solution to the environmental and ethical concerns of traditional animal agriculture. But is it really? We watched all lab-grown meat videos on YouTube to help you find answers to the most intriguing issues. So we're going to answer the questions like, what are the health concerns? Is this meat potentially cancerous? Is it even possible to satisfy global needs with lab-grown meat? Is it technically easy to grow this meat? Is the cost the same as traditional meat? Is it legal to produce it? Does it even taste like regular meat? What about the CO2 emissions? And what are big companies trying to force against consumers?
Sounds exhausting.
So, first of all, how do the challenges of growing cells outside of an animal compare to the natural processes within animals like cows? Growing cells outside of an animal involves using a special container known as a bioreactor, which is filled with a liquid full of nutrients. Keeping this environment clean is vital because harmful bacteria or viruses can damage the cells. Ensuring that the cells receive enough oxygen and nutrients while also removing waste is a significant challenge. In contrast, animals like cows have evolved over time with highly efficient immune systems. This immune system acts as a natural defense mechanism, identifying and fighting off harmful bacteria and viruses. This innate capability of cows and other animals allows them to handle these challenges far more effectively than our artificial setups. This leads to the question of health. One of the primary worries of lab-grown meat is the claim that this type of meat might contain antibiotics, cancer cells, and other potentially harmful ingredients, leading to risks for those who consume it. Specifically, the process of producing lab-grown meat can involve the use of immortalized cells, which grow quickly. Some people believe these fast-growing cells are similar to cancer cells, which brings up additional safety concerns. As we move towards adopting newer food technologies, understanding these issues is crucial to ensure that what we eat is safe and healthy. So what's about these potentially cancerous cells in this meat? Growing lab-grown meat isn't as simple as using any regular cells from animals like chickens or cows. The issue lies in the fact that these typical cells don't grow quickly enough for mass production. In fact, standard animal cells only multiply a limited number of times. To produce meat in a lab at a large scale, you'd require cells that can proliferate rapidly and indefinitely. Interestingly, the cells that have this rapid growth rate are akin to cancer cells. These cells grow at an accelerated pace, similar to how tumors expand uncontrollably. That's a key reason why cancer is so alarming. However, due to the negative connotation associated with cancer cells, they're often referred to as immortalized cells in the lab-grown meat industry. These cells either behave like tumor cells, replicating without an end, or are artificially engineered to do so. This terminology makes the concept more palatable to the public. When questioned about the use of such cells, the industry often points out that this technology has been around for years. It's worth noting that selling meat with actual cancerous growths is prohibited in the US due to safety concerns. For instance, a report from Michigan State University titled "Are Things Like Cancerous Tumors Allowed by Meat Inspection?" clarifies that carcasses showing signs of cancer are condemned, ensuring they don't end up on our plates. Yet lab-grown meat, which might involve similar cells, doesn't face the same scrutiny. There's a lack of long-term data confirming the safety of consuming such cultured meats. So when the media seeks clarity, the industry tends to sidestep direct answers, leaving consumers with lingering questions. However, here in the US, regulators have given the green light for the sale of chicken that's made directly from animal cells. Companies such as Good Meat and Upside Foods have been given the official go-ahead to produce and sell this kind of chicken. This means that consumers might soon see these lab-grown chicken products on their local store shelves, marking a new era in how we think about and source our meat. At the end of the video, we'll reveal what these companies are trying to keep hidden from consumers. So is it even possible to satisfy global needs with lab-grown meat? Scaling up the production of lab-grown meat poses significant challenges. To replace even a tiny fraction, just 1% of the world's meat consumption, we'd need enormous equipment known as bioreactors. It's unclear if our current methods can handle that size. Furthermore, it's expensive to make lab-grown meat, much more than regular meat. Dr. Derek Reisner and his research highlighted that we're not even sure if lab-grown meat is better for the environment. Despite all the attention and money it's received, no one has thoroughly checked its environmental impact. The Good Food Institute, an organization supporting lab-grown meat, said it could cost around $450 million to build a place that produces 22 million pounds of this meat annually. That might sound like a lot, but compared to the 100 billion pounds of regular meat the US produces, it's only 0.022%. And $450 million is a best-case scenario. Other experts believe it might cost up to $5 billion. Dr. Paul Wood, who knows this field well, emphasized that we can't just assume lab-grown meat is sustainable. Producing it requires energy, and if that energy isn't green, it might not be eco-friendly at all. Joe Fassler in 2021 wrote an in-depth article suggesting that lab meat might remain a dream. He argued that several major scientific breakthroughs, some Nobel Prize-worthy, are required. David Humbert, an expert Joe consulted, analyzed the cost and believed that even with significant advancements, lab-grown meat might still cost around $11 to produce just 1 pound. By the time it reaches stores, the price could soar over $22 per pound, which is 4 times more than regular ground beef. How does lab-grown meat really taste compared to traditional meat? Many people were curious about how lab-grown meat would taste and feel compared to regular meat. But after trying it, a lot of them were amazed at how similar it is to the real thing. Whether it was chicken nuggets or burgers, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Comments ranged from "it tastes just like a burger" to "the texture is spot on." Some were even taken aback, noting the juiciness, stringiness, and how it falls apart just like traditional chicken. One tester exclaimed, "I'd buy this. It's chicken, but not the kind we're used to." It's clear from the reactions that this isn't the usual chicken. It's lab-grown, yet it seems to pass the taste test with flying colors. Is lab-grown meat really better for CO2 emissions compared to traditional farming? Many people think lab-grown meat is better for the environment. However, some studies have found surprising results. They show that places where cultured meat is made might actually release more greenhouse gases than regular animal farms. Over a long time, like 1,000 years, these lab meat places could let out even more carbon. One study even said lab-grown meat might produce up to 25 times more CO2 than raising cows the regular way. On the other hand, if we look at animal farming, it can actually be good for the environment if done right. Some farms, like White Oak Pastures, use special methods from the Savory Institute. These methods help the farm take in more carbon than it gives out, making it a net carbon sink. So while lab-grown meat sounds eco-friendly, it might not always be the better choice. What are the big companies secretly planning? Lab-grown meat companies, including Upside Foods and Good Meat, have received approval from the FDA to market their products. Now, these companies have a few more goals in mind. First, they want to get the green light that says people can eat their meat. Next, they believe their meat is so close to regular meat that it doesn't need a different label. But if the regular meat industry starts using naturally raised on their labels, these lab meat companies might ask for rules to stop that. If this happens, it might become hard for shoppers to tell the difference between farm-raised and lab-made meat, making it practically impossible for them to make informed choices. Is lab-grown meat really as ethical as it seems? Lab-grown meat is often promoted as a more eco-friendly alternative to traditional farming. It's promoted as an ethical choice because it doesn't involve slaughtering animals. But to produce lab-grown meat, companies sometimes use an ingredient called fetal bovine serum, FBS. What is FBS, you ask? It's the blood from freshly slaughtered cow fetuses. Companies want to have the best quality meat, and for that, they sometimes use this powerful blood. Some businesses like Upside Foods reportedly still use FBS in their products. They would definitely prefer consumers not to know about this detail, especially when people start asking questions.